Hello, species value nature system. There are interbranch police recorded involved with people making fake Facebook pages pretending to be me through time, and recorded with a crime method where they take away Facebook pages of people tied to their roles with extortion acts and extortion methods tied to recorded mail crimes, intercity, and other natures of crimes juxtaposed against acts against each age of fact treatment nature with Wethersfield interbranch corruption, juxtaposed with overt criminal and with undercover police recorded using pretending the right to lie for evidence crime methods and roles with courts, database solution stacking tied to database solution stacking with campuses through time. This is Joe DeMauro who confessed after roles with the O'Brien family tied to the roles with people that I don't know at all, that I just know the faces and hear their names from confessions in the past, pretend to know me, tied to child sex predators, proven tied to the schools, and more recorded and confessed. And they had interbranch, Wethersfield Police, private with the dispatcher, wife, and her son on the sex offender list, real or made up, recorded and confessed with further. See, now there's someone making a fake Facebook page pretending to be me, pretending to be my ex-wife, associated with her, pretending she was associated with people in the past that weren't, because since 2001, people were asking us to help them because they were being coerced by police forms, interbranch, military police. Same people tied to KKK themed, Confederate flag themed, child sex offender, juxtaposed crime acts with evidences roles, witness fabrication roles, police forging names, switching names, Wethersfield Police with other interbranch police, stacking multiple fake police reports with other cities' police, bringing that in just so it becomes too time consuming and confusing for everybody. But it was because they were recorded pretending people can't. Like, they're even recorded forging, pretending that people have relationships with doctors they didn't have. Since I was a kid, too, people confessed roles with crime with medicine and with overt drugs, gangland, which is not my phrase. It's from a newspaper article tied to the transition from ACA to RICO, which is in relationship to predicate acts like mail crime. They attached me to fake witness fabrications of fake conversations about the 9/11 attack and about related cases with a proven in-court sequence shift in the Ninth Circuit in the Trade Center attack, right before the attack, that had to be proved after, and then it led to a part of a case that was ongoing at the time of my father's death. But that part of the case was in 2006. Former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, was federal criminal, had co-defendants of his who were federal criminals associated with drug dealing and recorded relationships with a daughter in my grade when I was growing up, with database crime roles, with teachers, with the drugs, with the kids and stuff like that, used for their roles with a database solution stacking method, recorded, influenced per interbranch police, judges of various natures of courts and their family members, recorded and confessed and demonstrated criminally foreign influence through areas maintained, they're just the way they have undercover policing and stuff like that. Also associated with their relationship on and off campuses with like the state judicial branch offices, with people recorded and confessed with various juxtaposed natures of crimes. And they do the child predator acts. There are police with online rape threats too against kids in a school where they had a principal arrested for something similar like that. And they arrested me first for trying to report that which they recorded, hid by hiding, forging names, switching sequences, wire crimes, crimes before that with evidence in databases, stacking databases. When I was a kid, Joe DeMauro was also recorded, confessed, involved with doctor crimes. I didn't know all their names yet, but it turned out, that's the people with the active. They keep making fake Facebook pages pretending to be me and my family through time. These are also recorded and confessed involved with the Scalora and with Phil Colora, that I know less than this Colora. And Phil Colora went to my town, associated with my neighbor Ray Colora, Joe DeMoro, recorded, confessed. Every once in a while, they would make confessions to me. I don't know most of their friends' names, and the ones I know would be just for brief moments. And that's how I learned, because they contact me, they sought me out. Now they do it online. Same ones, Eric Jensen, recorded, confessed, tied to men and women with natures of child abuse associated with a brother and sister across the street. I never had a conversation with, never met them. They're adults now, in families over there. Recorded and confessed, involved with ones on both sides of the pond too. That one I never had a conversation with across the field. This one recorded and confessed. In other words, different ways by other people I don't know. Recorded and confessed. They're involved with retired and standing detectives that involved that with database stacking through times. And then they had that cultivated as roles with witness fabrications recorded through time. They were stacking. So it's extortion. It's also because they have placements. They have roles with people with CCSU and with Trinity College, with the like policing, and then like private, and then like all that off the records with that, with the on-off campuses, with other internation families juxtaposed with it. And then with the inter-internation cultivated their roles with areas of illusion as roles with in-case crimes, with as the same people too, in cases directed to crime roles with evidences, tricks, and crime methods, stacking illusions and databases tied to a crime method that's keeping our only that realized interbranch actors recorded criminally foreign influence. And they recorded with the crime method, pretending they say other, but they're communicating other. You know, they're saying different things. So it's illusion of truth to say that that's not where you say interbranch, and then say, but just because you say something that's other doesn't mean. In other words, if I drop this napkin, I could say, you know, whatever. It's just that's pseudo-semantics. The point is the nature of the law, truth all the way, is being shortcome by tricks, being used to cover up original and state areas maintained, database lie progression cover-up natures. If you watch the Wire records, see they make the mistakes with Facebook on purpose. They make the mistakes with the Wire that show that Joe DeMoro sought me out to make these confessions. The Kerr family sought me out to make these confessions. The Klotz family, they sought me out. All the people sought me out to make those confessions tied to them. And to the recorded roles with Natures of Crime, with Billy Grasso's body dumping, with the Klotz family. And per the people across the street from Sal Civiello. She was also spreading rumors, pretending I had conversations with her about the CIA as an adult with Sal Civiello across the street from her house, a cousin of Enzo Faenza and him, and they confessed to their families involved with crimes with Dillon family through time, and with other intercity police and people associated with on-off campus state judicial branch office, and with men and women associated with kids. See, but they're using that to cover lie progression. So they need to hurt a kid, just real quick, to keep them, and they're hurting each age of, they're keeping motivated the same way the colonists were motivated by an area's maintained database relationship. Same one. To be hurting each age of fact because it was hurt that way. But specifically to keep it blamed on other people and on others. So WFSB is also recorded and confessed involved with spreading lies about me with people from a court, men and women associated with child predators, per acts, and per sequence shifts recorded and proven it in a tied case in the Ninth Circuit in the Trade Center attack context. Joe DeMoro also and Heather Hansen also recorded and confessed to roles with interbranch judges and their family members with crimes against and with drug cliques with kids and stuff like that, and with Mr. Neville with crime roles with people in my area, and with KKK theme and the medical corruption theme, and tied to the pattern of the people who sought me out. Now recorded to strangers and to relatives of my neighbor who pretended through time when they were actually in school with me, they knew me when I wasn't even in a class with them. I only saw him on campus one time from a distance when I was trying to walk from the direction of a Yagman house, also recorded and confessed. I never had in other words, in some contexts they pretend they knew me through time. Some contexts most contexts they pretend they hate me through time. So they're making evidence mistakes because they cultivated, because those are drug cliques that I never had anything to do with. The only exception is recorded. I handed it in too because it was a person from another school with confessions who turned out to be the family members of per Del Ferro family of a probate court judge. Now, those are people that sought me out to make confessions. I don't know them. I don't know anything about them. All I know is that they're recorded and confessed involved with database crime rules. All kinds of juxtaposed natures of crimes with kids, with men and women, and with doctors tied to the probate courts. People don't realize doctors tied to probate courts are tied to drug relationships with elderly homes, with prisons, and with doctors with mental patients. And now, see, they've been doing was pretending people had conversations with doctors they never had. As people recorded with crime rolls, in the fake conversations they had about the Trade Center, they have recorded crime rolls through time with federal criminals in the cases they pretended I had conversations about too. Pretended my father lost the case he won. Pretending the case was over that was won. I mean, it was still ongoing. And that's recorded tied to their male crimes, and then juxtaposing different natures of crimes. And not letting them report it and torturing by pretending they don't understand people and writing other in databases. See, that's why we have people now that interbranch still recorded through time, having used Facebook to facilitate and hide child predators with school, because there's more recorded and confessed. The relationship between the middle school and the little private school next to it is recorded and confessed, involved with an effective, very sick crime method, a breaching method, criminal foreign influence, but it's internation. Because we have nations like Cuba, Puerto Rico, all the hundreds of nations, England, the land down under, all these nations are here, juxtaposed with the campuses, with a policing system, with criminal justice, and with all the inter branch, still with uncharged, original, and progressed medical corruption rolls, and ties to rackets recorded with courts, where they're pretending not supposed to be able to speak the medical information, using that as a means to stack information that's made up, that's not even real, and pretend not to realize it, and getting off other kinds of tricks by attaching people to victims to fake language. No, victims charged with crimes consciously recorded for them to hide their roles with child abuses, which are just for acts. They only need one act. They're hurting live progressions. They're using police equipment to pretend things are recorded that aren't. Just put the name of the equipment and put someone in quotes. They're database solution stacking against everyone. That's many natures of federal crimes, and then it has to hide that because then there's real life investigations. Everyone's going as Victor President Dave's And that's what wars were juxtaposed for, blamed on others. Per the breaching method that came before modern nations to maintain the before and as the all finite value relationships to the databases, evidence treatments, fact treatment nature. Formal inter-science areas maintained, criminally foreign influence, and still is recorded. So they want to debate about things out of sequencing with time. They use real fast to make mistakes on purpose, and then they're backing up cases too at the same time, delaying the courts, wasting the time of the courts by using it to torture innocent people, recorded with them conscious of it, and then saying other consciously through time, and how motivated to this was as victims, but as victim predators. But then if you try to talk about it, how they were victims, which is all the real way, they're forcing a naive fact treatment nature anyway. So you have to talk about how the branches are the predators, and with the areas recorded in collusion with them. This is what is really furthering the overt criminal enterprise, and not just the ones. In other words, we have Harvard Hospital recorded and confessed. They just attach people to fake conversations. They do name crimes, forging names, forging signatures, attaching signatures that contracts with patients to all crime rolls with child sex predators, recorded with using that for evidence crime, life progression cover-ups. A lot of people tied to also like men and women hurt by Joe DeMauro. He said, he demonstrated this by his roles with, he said a Conrad. I never had a class of Conrad. I don't know. He walked by me one time that was demonstrated because they have people see your face, something like that, so you know them, and then it's going to be a fact treatment nature trick. Because they pretend that they don't understand people and that people can't talk because they're spreading rumors like that. Like with a Kathy Tangi who was pretending I was talking about the CIA. The Leahy family also did that. As doctors, they forged people's names, pretend they knew me through time, forged in other words. And the only time I did was even in their presence was recorded and confessed involved with people that I had nothing to do with while they were in high school. After they graduated, they came back to record and confess crimes, roles about the past and about that with the Leahy family, which the father, he said. I mean, I still didn't see what the father looked like yet. Anyways, he forges names and things like that. And then there's men and women who are doctors of mental health care, foreign and domestic, with crimes with them, and with the Trade Center, and with Puerto Rico, and with their patients, especially ones with fire departments recorded and confessed involved with wire crimes, and with child abuse crimes, with election crimes, interbranch crimes at the local level. And, that's also recorded and confessed involved with the Dillon family, recorded and confessed with my previous and the neighbors that moved in, recorded and confessed involved with witness fabrication rolls with child sex predators proven, and further recorded and confessed intercity tie. Not just intercity, interbranch in Wethersfield, but same actors already recorded and confessed involved with crimes since 2001, hiding what was affecting all the shifting confessions and requests for help from court police manipulating students on off campus, and the policing, the on-campus private policing and their family members, also with position roles and positions in the college, and intercity police with family members in the college, criminally used for database solution stacking, for rackets with sensibilities, why they're hurting men and women, with men and women making opinions about others with physical delusions, and as experts. See, we have uncharged breach precedents. And how and why was because it's internation criminally foreign influence per their roles with Joe DeMauro also confessed and recorded involved with doctors of medical corruption. Also, a Mr. Abruzzi recorded and confessed involved with crimes on and off campus, interbranch, and juxtaposed later proven federal criminals and more juxtaposed. And a sick people over even a serial killer involved with Justin Gavinskis and his wife. He recorded and confessed involved. The only time I saw them was brief moments in life, like 2-3 times. Each time recorded and confessed involved with people associated through time with criminality or with a body dumping spot of a serial killer, and with police associated with apartments and other body dumping spots. Like, in other words, across the street from South Civiello too, there's also people recorded, confessed, involved with crimes with police associated with the body dumping and with evidence crimes. Also with FBI with the treatment of what is a witness protection program and extended family members of that associated with the FBI, with houses on my street, and then with other retired FBI and his doctors criminally involved with the child predators. There's a Dr. Aziz, a Dr. Zeman also confessed and recorded involved with crimes with evidences to facilitate and to hide child sex predators, also with courts. He's also recorded and confessed involved with courts, with people involved with setting up juries and with the courts, also with victims advocates and all the positions of the courts, recorded and confessed involved with and as predator roles with on and off campus database solution stacking class placements. And Eric Jensen also recorded with and confessed with the others. Eric Oliveri also recorded and confessed involved with crimes with database solution stacking while I was in high school with people with Joshua Stryker. I never had a conversation with Joshua Stryker in my life. He's recorded and confessed involved with CCSU, Trinity College, and other colleges with people involved with different kinds of identity theft crimes, and involving the apartments too, and the dumpsters, and on off campuses policing and training policing and pretending that, using that for what they've been coercing, like all the police owners and stuff like the jobs associated with that. They have physical relationships per areas maintained. Everyone victim predators, like, and then they're sharing their girlfriends, and then that's like, then they to make that people not, they start torturing people by making the police making fake Facebook pages. That's also recorded tied to Sandy Hook investigators, doctors, and courts. Recorded with crimes with their criminals before they were in there, and with the Tide media police. So there's a two Schlachter brothers too, and a Conrad that I never had anything to do with that. Joe DeMauro also confessed and recorded involved with crimes with judges and with houses with others associated with the people down the street, with the Kathy Tanzi, recording and confessed involved with the CIA narratives. Also a Carla Greca, I never had a conversation with my left. Also recorded and confessed involved with police that have been hurting kids, men and women, through years. And she's a woman police officer. Also, Marisol, I don't know her last name. She was recorded and confessed involved with crimes with police, men and women, and with judges, with evidences, and with her placement in my class, database solution stacking, other contexts too, wire crime roles, as a group recorded with ties to proven child sex predators and tied to school acts and more, recorded and confessed. This is what is sustaining the streams going through courts each day. Many pray. Also, Ray Clow and others recorded and confessed. Tim O'Brien recorded and confessed. They were directed to crime rules with people with both sides of the verbal crime rules, because they make confessions about their parents' involvement with investigators, interbranch, when they were kids, but as victim predators. So if you try to show our course how we have to treat it as victims, that's why we have to go before everybody. With the cartoons and stuff like that, and with the talking about it's about American history. With the Burroughs book, the first word is going to start off. It's going to start off. The Burroughs book is going to be about the organized crime breaching method that was using laws, a database relationship. Before our founders' births, entrenched in America, internation, specifically with laws against fact treatment nature. If anyone was found to talk about making a house, building a house outside of internation monitored database relationship, they hurt those people, the whole family. They still have these crime methods. So there's a Joe DeMauro, his family members. There's two Joe DeMauros of my age, but from different towns. But they both have relationships to a number of people at CCSU and Trinity College involved with cliques with an untimely death on campus that was juxtaposed, recorded with criminal influences over and evidences crime rules, witness crime, fabrication crime rules that were affected to deans and to professors of mine. Also recorded and confessed involved with interbranch actors, family members, and tied courts, criminality, and criminal persuasions and roles where they use their kids to, because then they have something they can pretend they wouldn't have done that or said that, you know what I mean? But, so we have deans recorded switching names specifically so they can pretend they don't understand that. So ulterior motivated natures of crime juxtaposed with doctors who forge names, who pretend they had a conversation, because I had to report criminality where they have the equipment and the roles with like Cub Scouts, interreligion, and they had like surveillance equipment, pretending things were recorded in conjunction with and as witness fabrication crime rules, recorded and confessed with tied to the people in the area associated with the proven police child sex offenders, and more recorded and confessed. They've been hiding with this because they have doctors that are also investigators and always been challenging with crime rules with Sandy Hook investigations. They have physical delusions too recorded. They can't speak, but they have to make fake Facebook pages pretend to me for a decade. It's sustained extortion. WFSB fakes both sides of stories to hide child sex offenders, proven that were already proven before this happened. Then they were while they were trying to hide another one, and there's more recorded and confessed, interbranch and associated with them, and with their patients, with there's doctors also involved with crimes with the child sex offenders. They forging names and stuff like that, pretending fake conversations with me. They stacked my ex-wife to fake conversations about me and stuff like that. Attached me and her and everyone. Fake Facebook pages pretending to be my father through time. These are people with federal crime rolls, with proven federal criminals with pension thefts, all kinds of natures of recorded child abuse and drug, there's stuff like that on off campuses, on off job sites. See, we have agreements with our nation sharing policing. Like Castro's guy, they were abusing him. They were abusing my family, the other families, everyone with like drug dealing, bench thieves, all that juxtaposed with criminal justice rackets, shared here and there, fake sides. Italian police and doctors associated with Wethersfield police chiefs, past and the current one, with his family members and himself, recorded and confessed involved by the other police. And then they get real mad because that's why they're online with fake identity, fake against women, making rape threats, fake identities on Facebook, making Facebook evidences, crime mistakes. We have to deal with, there were criminally foreign influences too. You have, see the sick doctors they have with roles with drugs, with kids. And then if you try to say this, they pretend you're on drugs. You see what I'm saying? And they also stacked, there's the doctors that stack fake medical information in databases. They have crime rolls with forging names with letters, intercity, with Rocky Hill tied to one letter like that on the campus of Trinity College, tied to their recorded crime method, juxtaposed, that was hid with witness fabrication rolls and other natures of crimes and murders tied to another untimely death tied to the same group that brought that up to me, that brought up the child predator with the school taken out. But there's more recorded and confessed, because it is with policing unrealized with the schools, and that would enter police forms now. And this is where they can't handle that, because they're all knaves, because they're all raised victim predators. Skull. So they try to think with senses and quick and or, you know, not letting exceptions noted. In other words, because like Chris Walters, I barely know him. Every single context I know him in was tied, recorded, confessed his roles with Intercity, New Britain, Wethersfield, Hartford, the same drug cliques with next to the schools, involved with crimes and cases, and crimes with religious spots. He also recorded, confessed. So they directed this person to come sit in my English class. And Mr. Wall, that's my last name, Wall. They're also pretending to be me and my father through time, my father dead. But they did this because they had to cover lie progressions, because they had database crime rolls recorded and all the different natures of juxtaposed crime rolls recorded with men and women who are my age, who are with the courts, who are criminally foreign influenced, witness fabrication rolls growing up against people that don't know. They're using other people's courts with hearsay with their streets. Then they pretend it's not hearsay because they're telling it to come in, and they're making mistakes. They're just attaching everyone to fake database solution stacking. School better, everything's better. So this is how you make change. You free science from all liars. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know the names of the girls tied to Heather Hansen. And I think that was the one of the, and there was at least one of them tied to her with CCSU and with Trinity College with federal crimes that tied to the people who've been covering lie progressions from their crimes with kids when I was in grammar school. Then it was the same ones in middle school. It was ones connected to them. Only brief moments and stuff like that. And or, you know, those, you know, you go to some place where everyone's in the same place. Like when we went skiing and stuff like that. I never skied with Joe DeMora. I never hung around with him on a ski and stuff like that. The guy used to sing me out as a kid, and that's recorded and confessed crime rolls with my 5th grade teacher, Mr. Peruzzi. Didn't even teach, made me sit. They did the same thing, the same group. When I was smarter than all the other kids. I knew all the answers. They made me put the headphones on the list because no one would answer a question. You know what I'm saying? They look out the window. Then they write other. Then the lady comes in to test. I test higher than that. You see anything? That was a Ray Reynolds, also recorded and confessed involved with doctors, with drugs, with kids, with men and women doctors, because they have rackets tied to, like, Hartford Hospital has a whole bunch of doctors recorded and confessed and lead with on off-campuses crime acts and roles and natures through time, and tied to the Wethersfield Police and the WFSB Police, private, and their lawyers too, with rackets and roles pulling off uses of Facebook criminal evidence rackets, pretending they're just trying to defend, which is offensive. They have lawyers offensively with crimes with sex predators, with further Rocky Hill confessed interbranch roles juxtaposed too. That's the excuses they're making, is leaning back on other database information, stuff they can't speak out loud because they've all made it up. They've been forging names, switching names, interbranch through time. The governor also recorded confessed involved with Christine Bedard, recording confessed involved with database crime rules by men and women associated with her with federal crimes with child sex offenders proven, and that they hid with that first and further because they were raised with database crime rules with others placed in my classes too, tied to Joshua Stryker, also recording confessed involved with the deans that switched names at both colleges, with other colleges, also with their family members associated with doctors with rackets like that, because then they send them in at the same time. They're maintaining areas where they have investigators who are doctors also, with hospitals that are using that with misprision criminalities, where they can force someone to, if you need to tell on someone that the police don't want to get in trouble, so they pretend they don't understand you and say, okay, I'm going to put this person for a mental evaluation. It's also because the courts are with judges and family members and relationships with the courts, other criminal influence, because they have federal crime rules with Trinity College and with CCS on off campus with that recorded through time, and they know that. Also, there was down the street from the state judicial branch office, there was a recent reported shooting of a kid shot another kid. Real or made up, especially if made up. There was houses in that area and actors in that area also recorded and confessed involved with state police associated with Wethersfield intercity crimes with kids, with Wethersfield police and with other intercity tie, and with other agencies and their family members recorded and confessed involved with crimes with like Yagman, with the Leahy family too, that pretended I had a conversation about the CIA too, formally, and they have confessed and recorded crimes with courts of various natures and their acts and their actors criminally with areas through time. In other words, they pretend they're associated with investigations, investigators undercover and stuff like that, but they're using that to pretend that, for example, to get over the recorded for sustained sexual abuses of little girls that aren't their own, because they're trying to manipulate class placements not only for their own kids and for feelings that are honest, that are dishonest, but for rackets that everyone missed, was on off campus, but it's recorded. Two speech teachers I have recorded confessed involved with sex crimes tied to proven sex offenders, but further with their own roles with it. They make fake sides. And that's with the houses also recorded with the same houses tied to the state prison offices building and to the state judicial branch office building criminally through time with houses next to it, recorded, confessed, involved. And so that's with a database illusion stacking where they're putting people in relationship to you sit next to someone in a class like Christine Bedard. I only was polite to her. She recorded, confessed, involved crime rules with the cases prior to this too, and it's still with they're still forcing that sustained predators with Joe DeMauro and other Weathersfield police reported and confessed involved with further crimes with the judges and stuff like that, with evidence rackets, sex crime acts online recorded too. ERICKNERR, and a Dave Knurr and a Kerr family recorded and confessed involved with crimes with the DeMauro family, also with the John DeMauro through time, with kids with police with a Caldor and with the Ames, also recorded and confessed with the recent and further recorded leaderships of Weathersfield children with sex crimes, other natures of crime rules with kids, and with the courts that were before they arrested me for trying to report it. They were recorded online with Facebook consciously with rape threat rules. Police too, writing messages and posted rape threats, because then they pretend there was conversations with that when they're making evidence mistakes on purpose, tied to other lie progression cover-ups they have, because they keep criminally foreign influenced areas and states in collusion with other nations, suit and tie, suit and counter that doesn't understand too. Campus Marxiste was criminally re-engineered in some ancient times before modern nations to maintain all finite body of value and states and areas in collusion with top-down fake nations, cause to negative value nature progressions to all areas, blaming out others. There's also people with criminal justice crime rules with Charter Oak boxing actors, not the boxers, but the people associated with it. Except, a little Sammy Vega, but he doesn't box anymore. He's like associated with boxing, but criminally with the schools and with lawyers, with rackets, with crime acts with Ray Hernandez, recorded and confessed involved with database illusion stacking, with physical delusions, and with crime rolls with all juxtaposed with investigators on and off campus through time, with others with the campus too. Police in intercity have Magnanos has a daughter there recorded and confessed involved with him and with others with crimes and cases with child sex offenders. There's also 2 Joey Quest recorded and confessed involved with judges involved with sex crimes with the kids, and even online recorded. That's what I'm saying. And then the Weathersfield police recorded and confessed involved with physical delusions and with lies to hide this, with sequence shifts to hide this regarding the nature and the substance of my communications with them with email, which they wanted me to entertain their physical delusion, a hypothetical. And then they arrested me to hide what was later proven child predator. And more recorded and confessed. And before that,